Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe now. Just going to give you my updates. I've taken my time with this because there's a lot to look into, and I want to bring you guys back to a month ago. A month ago, I made a video, Pamper Your Expectations for Next Generation. And I had to make that video because being in the industry for over 30 years now, I could see this coming. Yeah, having gaming on the PC for over a decade, having gamed on consoles for 30 years, I could kind of see where this was going. And I warned everybody to pamper your expectations because there's been a massive jump. I talked about this before. I said the massive jump in CPU and GPU. Yeah, we jumped from 33 megahertz processors to 333 megahertz processors times 10. And then we jumped from 333 megahertz processors to 3.2 gig processors, again, times 10. And what we're seeing now is only a times 4 in CPU and a times 2 in GPU. So the difference is not going to be significant. And I did warn you guys about this. A lot of people have just gone in and saying, yeah, a new console, £500, everything's going to be great. No, 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 guys. I talked about them hitting a blockade, hitting a stopgap in terms of graphics. And I said it's going to be more due to effects that things are going to change. So ray tracing, lighting, shadowing, all those things are going to be what's brought into gaming now. And obviously the jump with the CPU is more significant. So we're going to be seeing not so much graphically, it's going to be more game design, better APIs, and we're going to see better motion captures. We're going to see better facial expressions. We're going to see more characters on screen, more cars on screen, bigger game worlds. And that's just going to be the change in CPU. So taking graphics away in terms of game modeling and game design and world building, the CPU is going to have a major, major impact on that this generation, not so much the graphics. The graphics is really GPU related, and we've had good graphics for quite a long time. As I said, I've been gaming with an Xbox One X, Xbox Scorpio for the last 3 years, most powerful console in the world, and I've been gaming in 4K native 60 frames per second with the Xbox One X. So when the Xbox reveal came out and they said Halo Infinite 4K native at 60 frames per second, I was like, okay, that's what I'm getting now. I've been playing Halo 5 for the last 3 years in 4K native and 60 frames per second. So you're giving me essentially a £500 console that is giving me the same graphics. But it's not just that, guys. As I said, the game world, when we looked at the demo, the game world was fantastically huge. It was big. And a lot of people were kind of shocked. In fact, a lot of YouTubers and a lot of websites have been less than impressed with the Xbox showcase. And that's down to yourselves, and it serves you right, because I told you exactly what was going on in regards to graphics. Digital Foundry is the only people that I know who hit the nail on the head, where they was talking about actually some of the graphics that you were looking at were not really the graphics, because consoles and PC games have long had a history there being an unnatural force of lighting which has gone onto games in order to show better graphics. And the Xbox showcase with Halo Infinite clearly shows that in enclosed spaces the graphics look very ordinary, but outside they look fantastic. And this is what happens when you're jumping into a new generation and you really haven't had that much time to work on games. I mean, the game doesn't look finished at all. It doesn't look anywhere near finished. I mean, it looks like they've only been working on it for 6 months, and most of these games take years to make. So I wouldn't be surprised if they pegged Halo back. However, the most important thing here is there's a massive divide between the two consoles. So let's talk about Sony first, because we haven't spoken about Sony. Sony are way behind in this PlayStation 5 console reveal next generation. They're not even close to competing. Microsoft at least have been able to make their announcements, show us a bunch of trailers, show us a bunch of in-game demos, and great. Sony, on the other hand, their reveal was way less impressive, And there's a massive worry about the lack of new IP and the poor software lineup in the first season. They practically have no games. Outside of Miles Morales and one or two other titles, their lineup is non-existent. And again, their console is even more underpowered than the Xbox. So if you think that the Xbox reveal was less than anything, then the Sony's isn't going to fare any better. And that's just the truth. That's just a fact. And here we are, guys. We're sitting at the crux of the next generation. And quite frankly, in my opinion, nobody's ready to launch. If I was these manufacturers, I would delay the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X for 12 months. That's what I would do. For Sony and for Microsoft, you've already launched mid-gen refreshes with the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X. And quite frankly, those graphics are really good. And there's nothing stopping you from holding those consoles through for another year. Yeah, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Right now, there's a rush to get these new consoles out. And after 6 months battling with the coronavirus, they're clearly not ready. Neither of them are. Neither the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X has hit the ground running. None of them have. And they're not ready. None of them have hit a slam dunk. The PlayStation has got next to nothing in terms of first-party games, and the power is seriously lacking. The Xbox, while it has the power and it has the games, boy, do they have the games. They came out and not only showed a plethora of first-party games, but all those games, 10 of them, was available on Game Pass. What does that mean to the gamer? It means instead of coming out and paying 60 quid for a game, you won't have to pay anything because it's all in your subscription. And we're hearing now, obviously, that they're talking about Xbox Live being dropped, the fee, the money that we pay to game online. And it's funny, isn't it? They were the first to charge, and Sony, PlayStation 3, and Nintendo's are always free. And PlayStation and Nintendo have looked at the amount of money that Microsoft have made, billions and billions and billions of dollars on Live, and they have moved their consoles to a paid subscription for Live. But Microsoft have made that money in abundance. Microsoft, for decades, have made enough money and have built enough clout and built their online system to the point where they really don't need to charge anymore. And this Game Pass, for me, is the way forward. This Netflix-style gaming subscription is the way forward. Because once you pay a fee for that, as far as I'm concerned, everything should be inclusive. It is on the PC, so why isn't it on the Xbox? All of this goes to correlate how perfectly scripted Microsoft's software package is. Their offerings are way better than Sony's or Nintendo's. Nintendo are charging you for stuff that you've got free I mean, like now, Pokemon. I've got to pay a subscription in order for me to do Pokemon transfers. I did the trial for, to upload all my old Pokemon from all the generations to this generation. I've done all that through the 30-day trial, but they're not getting a penny out of me, because why should I pay money to play Pokemon? It almost doesn't make sense. I've got to pay money to play a game that I've been able to play for the last 25 years for no fees. It doesn't make sense. There's no conceivable way that this makes any sense whatsoever. So as far as I'm concerned, Nintendo isn't getting a penny from me, because they simply don't have the internal software system, an online system that dictates a payment. We've seen what we've got from Sony and Microsoft, the free games, the live service, the whole package, and games with gold and all that stuff. We've seen all of that. With Nintendo, bro, you just don't have the games. Your first party games are great, but unless you're giving us those games for free every month, or one title, so for this month you can play Mario Party for free, for this month you can play Smash Brothers for free, for this month you can play Mario Tennis for free, for that month you can play Paper Mario for free. Unless you're doing something like that, it's not worth it. Because what you're doing is you're essentially giving everybody what they've had for free previously before to now pay for on a monthly subscription, which makes no sense. Again, The multiplayer aspect is the reason why most of us have been paying on Xbox and Sony PlayStation. And I don't really see how that correlates to Nintendo. But back to the argument on Microsoft. They are clearly not ready. They have a ton of great games. I love the fact that we was able to see Rare. I love the fact that we were starting to see a lot of games in the pipeline with black female lead characters. Wow. Wow. Yeah. But, and again, Fable, one of the best RPGs of all time. And not just that, but like a new Elder Scrolls as well, a new Skyrim. Yeah. They've been mapping themselves to build up their RPGs and platform games and different type of games outside of just first-person shooters. And Microsoft are doing that. Their games look great. Don't get me, the lineup looks great. I've got nothing against it. But the console isn't ready to launch because they just simply haven't got their feet underneath it. They really don't. So, and Sony is even further behind than Microsoft. So it's not like we're just bashing Microsoft's Xbox for the sake of it. They are ahead of where Sony are in terms of the PlayStation 5. And the fact that they are that far ahead in terms of the console development, in terms of the first party games being rolled out, their structure is brilliant, xCloud is brilliant, Game Pass is brilliant, and they're still not ready. What does that mean for Sony? And they want you to come out and spend $500 on a new console in the next 3 months. You know, I'm always a day one purchase gamer for new consoles, and even I don't think it's worth it because I've got the Xbox. I know the Xbox One X is being discontinued now because there's no point in selling something that powerful when the new models are going to have better CPUs. GPUs, yes, but the Xbox, as I said, the one that we have right now, the Scorpio, can still show 4K at 60 frames. So I don't even know where the divide is. I don't see why I should go out there and spend money on a new console when my console right now not only is great, but it's actually giving me the same resolution and in many games, the same frame rates that I'll be able to get with a brand new console. So I'm in a real dilemma here. And for all of you guys who didn't buy an Xbox One X, then you should go and buy a new console because the leap is tremendously huge. You're going from 1.4 teraflops to 12 teraflops. Yeah? That's over 10 times more powerful than the Xbox One that you bought in 2013. So if I was you, no problem at all, go out and buy the new Xbox console. But for people like me, who have got the Xbox One X Scorpio, it's only twice as powerful because I'm already getting 6 teraflops. And you're bringing out a new console with 12 teraflops. And while that's amazing, the console that I still have is amazing. The console that I'm working with now is still amazing. So I'm in a dilemma, guys. I really don't know if I'm going to be a day one purchaser. I'm definitely not buying a PlayStation. I've had all the PlayStations before. But for now, Sony have shown, not me, but you as well, Sony have shown absolutely nothing. Yes, they've shown you what it looks like, but it's underpowered. We all know how that went down for Microsoft when they launched Kinect in 2013, where the PlayStation 4 was hitting 1080p, 1080p, and the Xboxes were struggling with 900p. We all know how that turned out. A lot of people went and bought the PlayStation. And it wasn't until Xbox got rid of Kinect and Phil Spencer came in that Microsoft have done an amazing job in bringing everything back. But Sony, I'm way off the pace, guys. The console looks nice, but it's huge. It's, you know, and the controller, again, don't like the controller in comparison to the Xbox. Xbox, way better controller. Much more compact. I like the design. I like the size. And the power, well, you can't complain about the power. It's way, way more powerful. You know, some people are saying between 20 to 30% more powerful than the PlayStation 5. But I really don't know where this leaves gamers. But gamers are sitting back right now thinking, nah, nah, we're not going to do this. Because it's too early. We can see the development. The games are great. Everything's great. But here's the biggest divide. Here's the biggest divide. PlayStation are coming out and saying that their PlayStation 5 games will not work on the PlayStation 4. Straight away, you've alienated 100 million customers. Because 100 million people out there have a PlayStation 4. And you're launching this console with games, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, that you won't be able to play on your PlayStation 4. So you're telling me I've got to pay £500 for an underpowered console with not much first-party games just to play 1 or 2 games? Nah. Sorry, Sony. Nah, doesn't work. Microsoft, on the other hand, will allow you to play any game you want. But the problem is, the games they're designing and making have to work on Xbox One. So instead of developing the games from the ground up, which, by the way, the developers did say Halo Infinite was being developed from the ground up. I don't know how much truth there is to that. Because at times the demo did look like it was an Xbox One game. I've got to be honest. It looked like a game from the current generation. But that's probably because you're still catering to those people in this current generation. So when Miles Morales PlayStation 5 goes on sale, you ain't going to sell that much because not many people are going to have a PlayStation 5. But when Halo Infinite goes out on sale, you're going to sell millions because there's still over 50 million people that have an Xbox One, an Xbox One X. So Microsoft, even though they're early in their development, are still in position to sell loads more games and software. And remember, that's going to get a PC release as well. Halo Infinite's going to get a PC release. So you're still in a position where you're going to be able to sell and make way more money than Sony is on their software, simply because Sony, their games are not going to be compatible with PlayStation 4. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. And my advice to you guys is, forget November this year. Sit back until April next year, 2021. Wait for 6 months to flow over and see how they fix all of this. Because it doesn't look to me like Sony and Microsoft have got their act together to launch this year. And that's just my professional opinion on the matter. But that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. Food for thought, really. But for me, them not ready yet. I'll leave it right there, guys. And I'll speak to you soon. Peace, man.